Good afternoon. I am Peter Wuenschel, Chair of the Education Division of the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Education Connections. Education Connections is a monthly Education Connections is a monthly webinar hosted by the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce. The mission of the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce is to be champions of business success and quality of life in our community. The foundation of business success begins with the region's educational system, which includes pre-K through the highest professional degrees. This webinar series showcases the people who lead our institutions. We ask these leaders to share issues facing our educational institutions now and in the future. Today, I have with me Hillary Gramm, who is the Executive Director of Higher Up Texas. Welcome, Hillary.
Hi, Peter.
It's good to see you.
Nice to see you.
So, Hillary, I want to begin today by asking you to tell us about yourself and specifically describe the journey you took to become Executive Director of Higher Up Texas.
Well, I am very excited to have been a part of the nonprofit world for the past almost 17 years. And that journey began with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, being the branch manager. And I was actually a member of the Clear Lake Chamber at 22 years old. I was so intimidated, and shameless plug, I joined Toastmasters, and here I am today. So I owe a lot to the Toastmaster group at the Chamber. But, I've always wanted to help people, and not just in a cliched way, but in a very intentional way that brought about meaningful change. And when I moved to Texas at 22 years old, I thought, what better of a way to start that by working in the nonprofit sector? So as I shared, I worked for Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and then I decided I wanted to go a little deeper in working with youth. So that's where Peter enters my story in life. And for the past 13 years, I've known Peter. I worked for him for 10 years. And after a very robust and fruitful time together for Communities in Schools Bay Area, I had the opportunity to begin a new nonprofit called Higher Up Texas. But why I became an executive director early on in my career, I remember a leader sharing that they were going to get rid of colored folders, the manila folders like you see on the screen. And my world kind of dropped, because these folders were a really important part of our organization for this major nonprofit. And it just kind of made me think, I don't know that the top always understands the bottom and how the frontline workers are working. So I spoke with my mentor and I said, how do I get a job like that? And she said, first, get a master's degree. And I did. And she said, now learn everything you can, meet with people that you admire, and ask lots of questions. So that's what I did. Even in my interview with Peter to join Communities in Schools Bay Area in 2009, he asked, what did I want to do? And I said, well, when I grow up, I want to be an executive director. And the journey had a lot more curves and turns than that, but that's the gist of it. But I was always very mindful of all the stages leading up to the leadership and how it impacts every single role of an organization.
Thank you so much, Hillary. I love hearing the stories of how educational leaders have gotten into the position, and I'm so happy that I was part of that. And I appreciate all the work you did for Communities in Schools Bay Area. I am more excited about the work that you're doing with Higher Up Texas and what you've begun. So we do have several things that we need to learn about your organization. But before we get into specifics, will you please go to a higher level, give us a broad overview and history of Higher Up Texas and what it offers this community?
Sure. Well, the first slide, at 18, could you adult? I think many of us, whether you have resources or not, when you're ending high school, your day of being scheduled and having people around you and having clear objectives you need to reach kind of goes away. You're kind of on your own. The world expects you to know it all. And there's severe consequences if you don't, such as your financial futures, choosing to vote or not vote. That has impact on your every single daily life. Yet when you turn 18, these things aren't just put into your brain. You have to learn about them. And unfortunately, a lot of it is trial and error. Some of the questions that, we kind of are inundated with when we're an adult, a young adult, how do you even rent an apartment? You don't even know what renter's insurance is until you need it and you don't have it. Why am I afraid? Who can I ask for help? What do I do after high school? How do I buy a car? Who can I trust? What is compound interest? Can my idea make money? There are so many things. And as you see on this slide, it's kind of a mess of questions because this is it. This is exactly kind of how it happens. You don't know, and you can either remain stuck and kind of do what's always been done around you in your community within the four walls of your home, or you can stretch out of that comfort zone and begin trying new things. And that's kind of what happened for Higher Up Texas. In the summer of 2018, our two founders, Rick Gorto and Tony Annunziato, were having a casual lunch, and we're talking about communities that experience high levels of poverty. And often you can pour money into a community, and when the money kind of goes away, not much has changed. The people who were managing those funds, the networks that were being brought in, they're kind of gone. And obviously you have to have funding to pay for these things, but there could be something done a little bit deeper that has such roots of change. And that was the development of critical thinking skills through experiential learning. So what all that fancy stuff is what if we begin teaching students when they're about to enter adulthood how to adult, life skills, and the tools needed to gain success and have prosperity in life. The mission statement of our organization is that we teach life skills to young adults and guide them to their successful futures. That means we're teaching them these tools, giving them the tools and the space to practice them, and then allowing them to decide what success means for them. What success means for myself is very different from the next person. And we don't want people to think, oh, I didn't do the 4-year college route, therefore I'm not successful. That's very far from the case. So we're kind of a very individualized, focused program, but the students are still driving what happens to their future trajectories. How we do this? Well, the knowledge of the community's experts. So we bring in so many different people to talk about the topics. We partner with a variety of leaders in the community. But the first question we have everybody answer is, describe a challenge you had in your life, how you overcame it, and how you got to where you are today. Before they even begin speaking about the topic they're coming in for, it could be writing a check or how to vote. We want to hear what was challenging for you and how you overcame that, because many of our students are in those phases of life right now.
Fantastic. You started alluding to this, but I know that Higher Up Texas partners with several businesses in our community. Can you tell us what businesses you do partner with and how they work with students that you serve?
Sure. So the life skills that we are teaching are as follows on the screen: financial literacy, future money, how to vote locally. That's something that's really big. Often young people don't want to vote because they think it's just for president. And in fact, we asked during a couple of years ago, is anybody going to vote? Oh, I don't like either of people running for president. Well, guess what? There was a pretty major election in the city of Dickinson, where we are, for mayor. And the students, they just really didn't think of anything that those local decision makers have anything to do with their daily lives. But in that case, they absolutely do. We are teaching how to obtain a driver's license. Many students do not have licenses, but they're driving. And we're trying to help them prevent getting in trouble and having consequences that they don't mean to get. We're doing things like social responsibility, teaching etiquette, bringing in mental health care and self-care, how to start a business and the challenges with that. All of these topics are huge. And the people that we're bringing in are partners like Amico Federal Credit Union, Frost Bank, Texas Bank. We have, I should have wrote a list, but it's a huge list. We bring in the city council members. We've taken students to City Hall and to Mayor Turner's city council meeting. We've met with Mayor Hallisey from Lake City. Basically, if there's an expert in our area that is teaching any of the, or that is an expert of these topics, they're coming into our classrooms. And then during COVID, we had to get really creative and do it virtually. Some of the other partners that we work with, we have partners all over the United States that we were able to partner with, especially during Zoom. In fact, we worked with a group in South Carolina that was basically a mission group about young people who are working and using their medical skills to help those in Honduras. So that was a really cool group to bring in. And of course, we have educational institutions we are very well partnered in, and you'll learn a bit more about one of those, but we work a lot with UTMB School of Nursing, UHCL Clear Lake, UHCL Pearland, College of the Mainland, especially Alvin, San Jack, U of H. We work a lot with the different schools around us because they need our students. Our students aren't sure how to get to those next phases, so we work well with them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I love the partnerships that you do with businesses, because I think that gives students a real hands-on approach to why they're in school. And I've heard you describe the program Higher Up as a pipeline for students from high school through college into a career. Can you talk a little bit more about specific careers that you focus on, and how does that pipeline actually work for students who go from high school to the workforce?
Well, our first year at Dickinson High School was for seniors starting their 2019-2020 school year. And of course, in March of 2020, their school year ended and never restarted. And we were just about to go into the topic of our curriculum about mental health. And our students were reaching out because we weren't meeting in school anymore, and they were still needing a lot of help and support, and they were scared. So I said, well, we can still continue. So our students are the ones who created the post-high school program that is now known as Higher Up Phase 2. So we essentially begin with students 17 years old and continue until they're 23. There are not many programs that specifically work with this age group, and it is so important because this is where they kind of fall off, and they do need that support after high school. So our Phase 2 program, we provide mentors. Many Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce members are mentors directly in our program. We're able to share job opportunities, internships, give life advice, send care packages. We have all kinds of opportunities to volunteer. In fact, our students this morning were setting up the Dickinson Education Foundation's gala for tomorrow night. Our students are giving back into the community on a regular basis, but that's part of Phase 2. They're working one-on-one to build goals, and then having an accountability partner of making those goals a reality. We provide scholarships, the career guidance, and then going into what you had shared, the career pipeline. One of the pipelines I'm going to share is our healthcare, next generation healthcare worker pipeline. This is actually really huge. And this began before COVID, the discussion in a local BAHEP meeting, Bay Area Houston Economic Partnership, that there was a shortage of healthcare workers. Well, during that time, Higher Up was in its first year at the high school, and we wanted to grow. And so our fantastic principal had shared, what about the students who are graduating with patient care technician certifications? That's like a CNA. Essentially, the students would graduate with a certification, and not many knew how to get a job. And because not many people in their lives have worked in healthcare, or the students themselves, they would, maybe apply on the computer and nothing would ever happen. So we developed a curriculum specifically with the healthcare industry coming into our classes to additionally help with teaching these life skills, but talking about the hospitals and their journeys. UTMB School of Nursing, their students have a class that is required for their graduation, where the nursing students come and meet with our students every week, both semesters, and they are working with our students in a form of mini mentorship. And it's, just somebody who is a couple years older than them who has just recently walked this path and is giving them guidance on how to go to nursing school, or what route is better for you, LVN, RN, BSN, and it's really providing an exposure. As you know, the next chunk in the pipeline is the College of the Mainland. We have the wonderful opportunity of having the Promise Scholarship, which allows for students to access education for free from the class of 21 and beyond. So our students are able to get their nursing or healthcare degrees started at COM, and then they can continue on in their journeys. The great thing about College of the Mainland is it's very accessible. We've had Dr. Nichols come to our classes. We've gone on field trips where he specifically speaks with our groups and shares about his journey and the things about COM that make it very unique. That way our students feel that, okay, this is comfortable for me. It's not a big scary place I've never been. It's basically my backyard. I don't have to pay any money to attend. I'd be silly not to go. And in fact, we have a very high rate of our students continuing on at College of the Mainland because of between the Promise Scholarship and Higher Up Texas Phase 2, which is the next part of our pipeline. This is where we are helping them get their jobs. We have students, 18, 19 years old, working right in the hospitals out of high school as patient care technicians, using those certifications while they're going to school. I've got a student in the ER at Methodist. I've got I have a couple students at Methodist. I've had HCA. I have a young lady working at UTMB labor and delivery in Galveston. So basically the world is their oyster because this field is in such high demand that our students share which hospital they would like to go to or home health care, and they get the job pretty quickly.
I look at this pipeline and I think this is such an innovative program. But then I also look at it and it's like, this just makes sense. It really just makes sense that you have students in high school who need some transition into what do I want to explore, and you have UTMB to take care of that, and then they have the College of the Mainland is offering them that education for free, and then you have mentors who are bringing them along into their healthcare. It's so innovative, but again, it makes such great sense. So now talk to us about your results and talk to us about your success, because I know there's a lot.
Yeah, gosh, the thing is that if you know me, I don't like numbers. I love stories, but I do have numbers for y'all. Since 2019, we've had 197 students in the program. And I don't like to call them students, they're young adults. Our program is not necessarily a teaching, we're facilitating and going from older adult to young adult. And because the program has provided value and is meaningful for our students, when they transition out of high school, 80% of them are still engaged in the Phase 2 program. And if you're 18 years old, you really don't need to come to the HUT office in Dickinson on a beautiful Friday afternoon and talking about money and how to have choosing a partner in life or whatever topics we're talking about, but they do. And they're here for hours. And one person had said that this was like their clubhouse and they felt very comfortable here. So 80% of those students are still very engaged in the program. We have students all over the United States. It doesn't mean just because they moved elsewhere out of Dickinson that they're done with HUT. We have students that are in Chicago, Colorado, Arizona, all over Texas. And I know that with this next graduating class, we have some that are going all over the place as well. Thank goodness to Zoom and technology. And, we send a lot of snail mail. So they do get a monthly postcard to say, hey, we're thinking of you. So our engagement is really high in the program. Our students are in various industries. As you saw, the majority of our students are going healthcare, but we do have people going in process tech. We have engineers. We have people in the finance industry. We've got everything. In fact, next year we are growing into the auto tech classes. So we'll be working with different dealerships and places for our students to be able to find jobs with their field, because that's another one that's very in demand. As I had earlier shared, not everybody goes to 4-year college, or they start and realize they don't have the support system to maintain it, or it's just not for them. That's okay. We're kind of there to say, okay, let's reset, let's figure it out. We have students that are in technical programs. We have students going in the military, and we have students that just straight enter the workforce. In fact, our alumni of the year for 2022, he works for Amico Federal Credit Union, and he started college and it wasn't for him, and that was okay. And he proved you can still be a success regardless of challenges you face. It's how you choose to move forward. And a lot of our students have all kinds of challenges and different circumstances, but that's okay. Just let that be some experience in your back pocket. Let your choices, what you're going to do next, be what determine who you are. That's the big part of HUT.
Awesome. Okay, finally, Hillary Gramm, tell us about your future plans for Higher Up Texas.
Well, the future of HUT is growing really fast, and I don't want to grow it too quickly because I don't want to ever lose the high quality. This is a very special program because our students feel heard and seen and valued. That I don't want to lose that special touch in our program. So yes, growth is exciting, big numbers, that's exciting, and I want to always maintain that authenticity that our program has and how our students feel about themselves and what they're getting out of this. Something that's very important to not only myself, but I feel the nonprofit sector as a whole is having respect to equity and building our students up and giving them the opportunity to share what they want for this program. We have a junior board of directors called the Huddle of Directors. It mimics a true nonprofit organization board of directors. They have an executive committee, resource development, board development, and a host ad hoc committee. And they're the ones who are deciding what needs to be taught in the program, what kind of activities they want. Even, if someone wants to join the program who didn't take the classes, they decide because it's their peer. So really our students are driving this program because I have not been a high schooler for a really long time, and I don't live in Dickinson. I don't want to project my values and my ideas onto them, right? Because that's not for them. Their voice is so important. So really they're the future of Higher Up Texas. We're going to always be there to help guide it, but they're the ones driving it and leading us because they're the ambassadors. They're the advocates of it. And I think because that growth has happened so quickly, it's because we have 197 young people walking around talking about this interesting program they're in. So we are working towards building a model of replication, but we're also very mindful about making sure it's stable and still has that high quality.
This is awesome. Thank you so much, Hillary. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing for this community. And I especially love what you're doing for these kids. You're making a significant difference in their life. So
thank you
so much. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining Education Connections, hosted by the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce. Please join us Thursday, July 14th at 12 noon when we will hear from another Clear Lake education leader. Also, next week, don't forget to tune in to the new Arts Connection hosted by Jill Reason and Jill is with the Houston Ballet and Theater. She's doing an Arts Connection on Thursday, June 9th, where she will be interviewing somebody from the Bay Area Chorus. June 9th. Tune in to the new Arts Connection, and we will see you in July for Education Connections, hosted by the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.